Hello everyone and welcome back to a bit of a late night Tharries video. I know it's a bit weird, isn't it? I normally upload earlier in the day, but the reason I wanted to upload later this evening is because we've had quite a few news stories today, and I basically just wanted to make sure that the BBC didn't surprise me and post something else before I got a video out, which does tend to happen quite regularly. But I think I've got everything I want to talk about today, so let's just get right into it. Also, if you're brand new and you enjoy Doctor Who news updates, feel free to subscribe. This is the place to be if you want to keep up to date with all the latest and greatest Doctor Who news. I'm going to be doing regular uploads up until the 60th and beyond, so if you enjoyed that sort of coverage, feel free to subscribe. It helps me out immensely. But with that said, let's get right into it. So last night, following the publication of my previous video, we saw this clip uploaded of David Tennant filming his segment of The Regeneration with Rachel Talalay, the director of The Star Beast, and of course this portion of The Regeneration. The prior part, I believe, was directed by the Power of the Doctor director Jamie Magnus Stone, and then it was completed in Wolf Studios by Rachel Talalay on a green screen. And yeah, this was a wonderful little sort of segment, and it seems to be our very first kind of glimpse as to what Doctor Who Unleashed will be like, which is incredibly exciting and interesting. I will say, it's really cool having actual substantive Doctor Who behind the scenes kind of bonus material for the first time in a long, long while. David Tennant looks absolutely ecstatic and overjoyed. There's a lovely moment from him talking about how he was texting Jodie all the way through to make sure she was part of it, because obviously she filmed her scene long before David was, I suppose, doing his bit. And yeah, it's just a really nice sort of little segment, I suppose. And we also get an interesting bunch of comments from Russell, which I will play here, where he talks about the 14th Doctor.
He is the 14th Doctor, because he's not a trick Doctor, he's not a pretend Doctor, he's not a dupe, he's not a plan by the trickster or something. He is genuinely the 14th Doctor.
Yeah, he basically says that the 14th Doctor isn't a trick or a sham or a fake Doctor. He is the 14th Doctor, but there is something subtler, which is the reason he has the face. He also directly mentions the Trickster, which was really cool because I loved Sarah Jane Adventures as a kid, and I absolutely adored the Trickster stories. Obviously, I know that the writer who wrote them is quite problematic these days, but I do still love the Trickster as a character, I have to say, and I would love to see him come back. But anyway, I digress. This was a really interesting little sort of nugget from RTD with regards to the 14th Doctor, once again confirming from the horse's mouth, no, David isn't, the master in disguise or something like that, or, a sort of fake Doctor like David Morrissey. He is the 14th Doctor through and through, and I'm very interested to see what the reasoning is for that decision. But overall, yeah, this was absolutely lovely. I'd highly recommend going to check it out. It's only like 2 minutes long. It's really cool. It's already on trending. It's been trending all day, which is really cool to see. Yeah, it's the sort of behind-the-scenes material I've been missing from Doctor Who. But the bigger piece of news today was we had our first set of brand new writers for Doctor Who Series 14 announced at 12 PM today. Kat Herron and Briony Redman have joined forces to pen an upcoming episode in the new series of Doctor Who. Find out more here, and we've got the article up here. Writers Kate Herron and Briony Redman, I hope I'm saying those names right, joined forces for Doctor Who. So I didn't know much about these ladies when this announcement was made, but as it says here, Kate was the executive producer and director of the entire Series 1 of the popular Marvel Studios series Loki, as well as directing on the critically acclaimed series Sex Education. And Briony is an actor, comedian, and BAFTA Rockcliffe-winning writer whose work includes the Welsh crime comedy Pontbrec with Damien Evans and the award-winning short film Forget Me Not, which screamed across festivals internationally. So an incredibly experienced pair of writers. I also find it interesting that this is our first writing duo in Doctor Who since, I believe, the days of Pip and Jane Baker, who ironically were kind of lambasted for their Doctor Who by one Christopher Chibnall. Anyway, the pair have collaborated on a range of work together, including their comic, The Stalkening, as well as TV and film projects, the sci-fi Miss Universe and the acclaimed short film Smear. Now they have teamed up once more to take viewers on an unforgettable adventure in the new series of Doctor Who. Kate Herron said, "Clearly, I can't get enough of time travel. It is an absolute honour to write for Russell and Sheety. We had so much fun, and I can't wait for you all to see it." Briony Redmond said, "As a big fan of Doctor Who and Russell T Davies, it has been a dream to write for this show." Doctor Who showrunner Russell T Davies said, "This is when I absolutely love my job. Working with the stellar talents of Kate and Briony makes my whole world bigger and brighter and a lot more fun. I was a huge fan of Loki and reached out to Kate to say so. She then introduced me to Briony, and it was all systems go. They've written a wonderful script, which created unique challenges for a cast and crew alike. The end result is gorgeous and thrilling and scary and like no other episode of Doctor Who." So yeah, an incredibly interesting set of writers, and once again, it's cool to have our first set of writers be confirmed, and female writers as well, which is always nice to see. I do find it interesting though, because if you remember way back, Russell T Davies actually spoke about how he found the bisexual representation in Loki to be a little bit unsatisfying. However, I would assume that was more of a Marvel Studios mandated thing than these people. And I could see a lot of Doctor Who DNA in Loki. And I'd be watching season 2. While it's nowhere near as strong as the first season, in my opinion, you can definitely feel that influence. So someone making the jump from Loki to Doctor Who makes perfect sense to me. Now, obviously, it does say that she was a director on Loki, but it also says she's executive producer, which I believe is like the same role that Russell T Davies has officially. I know we all call him the showrunner, but I think officially he's referred to as the executive producer, I think. So I assume she might have had a hand in some of the writing, not all of it, but maybe some of it. So it'd be interesting to see maybe if, now that she's writing for Russell, she might be a bit more free than she would be in the Marvel machine, because as we've heard recently, Marvel kind of have a very different approach to creating TV shows than most other studios tend to make shows. Only recently it's been announced that they're introducing things like showrunners and like writers' Bible, which are pretty common practices for TV shows. Finally, though, I wanted to make a brief point about this. It's the latest Who spy image, and the reason I wanted to bring it up is because the caption reads, "It will chime 4 times," and it is a bell, presumably like an old school bell, so maybe in the 1920s, possibly the giggle. But of course, this is interesting because this is obviously a very direct reference to the end of time. He will knock 4 times, sort of signalling the 10th Doctor's death. Now, this could admittedly just be a little tongue-in-cheek reference on the social media. That's entirely possible. However, I also think it's somewhat possible for this to perhaps be an indication of not only the link between 10 and 14, but perhaps also the idea that 14 will be this short-lived thing. And maybe there will be someone ringing a bell 4 times, which spells the end for the 14th Doctor. I don't know what that could mean for the 14th Doctor. Feel free to leave your suggestions in the comments below, but I just thought it was interesting to note nonetheless. But that's about all I have time for this video. If you did enjoy, be sure to give it a like, comment down below your thoughts, subscribe if you're new, and I will see you later.